Let's get into Sam Howell. Is Sam Howell the future of this team? We talked about it slightly earlier where he is QB, what, 6 on the season? Now, the defense is fucking horrible, and they've been throwing the ball a shit ton. And yeah, he's QB 6 on the season right now. 14 tutties to 9 interceptions, got another tutty rushing as well. He is, I believe, second in passing yards. Yep, just behind Tua, ahead of everyone else, including Mahomes and Josh Allen. Howell is doing really well right now. They've sold off some pieces on the defense. Now, what's the situation? I think for the rest of the season, if they continue to lose and have a high draft pick, then yes, I don't think that they would hesitate to draft one of these top QBs. Actually, to go with that, I think that if they fire the coach or get a new coaching staff, that could also hurt him for next year. It's a different regime, right? There's a chance to draft one of these top quarterbacks. Is that something that they do? Or do they actually believe in Howell and say, hey, maybe our offense isn't that bad. Maybe we just fix other parts or do other things and we don't draft a quarterback because maybe they don't finish horrible this season. Maybe they're like in the middle, right? So they don't have a top pick really to draft a QB. So they wind up maybe giving Howell another year, maybe one more year and kind of see what happens from there. So the future, I'm unsure of, especially with the coaching and them probably getting rid of Ron Rivera. We'll see what happens. But what do you think about Howell for the future? And then we'll get into, I guess, then we'll get into his dynasty value and what we're looking at there.
So the tough part about Sam Howell, and I'm just trying to look up where he was drafted,
He's a
what
fifth
round.
round. I think he's a fifth round pick.
That's always a factor in these sorts of situations where a guy has come in and he's played fairly well, probably exceeded some expectations just in terms of the volume that he's put up versus what we kind of saw last year. We weren't really sure. Now, context always matters. Now, listen, they just beat New England, so they're 4-5.
Yeah,
It's not
fifth
like they're
round.
complete. So it's not like they're a complete dumpster fire, but because he is a fifth round pick, they don't have a ton of assets invested in him, right? Like we kind of talk about that all the time. And listen, if he goes through a 4 or 5 game slump where he's just turning the ball over and Washington falls out of it and he just looks really bad, that's how quickly it can change for a fifth round pick that they don't have a ton of capital invested in. So I think I'm in the wait and see thing with Sam Howell, to be honest with you, because a lot can change between now and Christmas. You know what I mean? That's kind
Mhm.
of, I think, the window that we're looking at to see, if his production stays pretty consistent. And they don't have the greatest weapons there, but he's making it work with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Logan Thomas, B Rob, Gibby. Like he's kind of making that offense go. And like I said, they're not a complete dumpster fire at this point. 4-5 coming off a big win in Foxborough against Bill Belichick and company. So I think if he kind of strings along and they finish 8-9, 7-10, then they're like, hey, listen, we might have a halfway decent chance of building a little something around this guy. So I think the big thing with Sam Howell is kind of TBD in this sense, because we're just kind of not sure what direction that organization is going as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might be okay for this year and next year, possibly, because I don't know how bad they're going to be if they're able to, draft one of these top quarterbacks or not. So that I'm unsure of. So maybe this year and next year, and he's kind of in that range of again those QBs that we're not sure of any long term. In that that Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, Jordan Love, right? He's kind of in those, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, right? We just don't know how long these guys are going to continue to be, be
Well,
starters. So people do love Sam Howell, though. People love Sam Howell. I think he's a little bit,
overrated, overvalued.
well, I didn't want to say overrated, but I mean overvalued, I think, at the moment. So I think you could definitely take advantage of a selling point right now where he's playing so well and people, kind of really like him. If you want to just get out on that risk and, just take advantage of the assets that you can come out with. So, I'm definitely okay selling. The problem is I can't buy because of the price that he's in right now. So if we look on Keep Trade Cut, he is QB 18 right now. Right after Will Levis, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Justin Fields, Bryce Young, Kyler Murray, right? Because we can't put him higher than those guys. Can we have more confidence that he's going to play more than, Bryce Young in the next few years, right? Bryce Young's got
No,
the
Bryce Young
contract,
playing
right? So he's got to
playing at
be
least 5 years. Yeah.
So he's got to be right after that range, right? So I think that's kind of the perfect range. Will Levis, Sam Howell, Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, right? He's in that tier. Would you would you agree with kind of, I guess, what we've got here on Keep Trade Cut as like the dynasty community in a whole at the moment?
Yeah, I would lean that way, and I would actually lean on the lower end of that just because, as I said before, the draft capital that they have invested in him, right? Jordan Love was a first round pick, right? Geno Smith, I know they signed to a contract, but that's nothing crazy there. So I would kind of have him in that 20 range just because, and I'm looking at the schedule as well. And there was one thing I wanted to bring up. They already have 4 wins on the season, right? So you would imagine the Commanders will get to 6 wins, maybe 7 if you kind of project everything out. If they get to 6 or 7 wins, they're probably looking at pick 15, right? Somewhere in
Mhm.
that range. So I think that takes those top quarterbacks kind of out of it. If you're looking at the top of the draft, somewhere in that, I don't think they're going to be in the top 10. I think they'll be somewhere in the teens, 14,
I'm saying,
15,
yeah.
16. So I think to your point about him being pretty safe for next year, I think is a legitimate thing. And I think that kind of makes him a little bit more valuable just because most likely he will be the starter for next year based on how well he's played so far, where they finish in the standings, and kind of where they go with the draft. And the draft is going to be very telling, this upcoming season or this upcoming off season for the Commanders. If they go out and take a wide receiver or they take a running back or they take, a skill position guy, hey, maybe they're looking to build around him, right? And then I think next year is kind of where we're really going to see if Sam Howell is going to be the future. So still some uncertainty, and that's kind of why I said TBD, because I do think a lot of things can happen in between now and the end of the season.
I agree. So let's see where does he slot in? Russell Wilson or Sam Howell?
But there's a little more security in Russell Wilson. I don't think Russell Wilson's getting any better. That's the thing. I think he's kind of in that QB 15 range, right? Sam Howell is kind of, has he reached his peak fantasy production wise at QB 8 currently? I imagine they'll finish somewhere in the same. Sam Howell probably finished 12, 13. Russell probably finished 15, 14, 15, somewhere around there. That's a 50-50, but fuck it. Give me Sam Howell with the way he's looking and some upside, right? He's got some rushing upside as well. So fuck it. Give me Sam Howell. I do think that the
Mhm.
separation isn't that great. So I think Sam Howell has shown that he can have a higher ceiling if you're
So
looking at
yeah,
this year and
sure.
next year.
I think you have to go Sam Howell. You have to go Sam Howell, I think, for the potential upside and just because he's a young QB and what you can get from him if he just even finishes the season really good compared to what you can get from Russell Wilson at this age. So yeah,
Yep.
I think we gotta go with Sam Howell over him. Okay. So we've established that. How about Baker Mayfield?
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell, right? Geno Smith.
Yep. I think he was a little bit overvalued in the offseason. QB 24 right now, not playing very well. Sam Howell.
No, I'm going Sam Howell too. Again, just the simple upside with the age, what you can get out of him, right? Kenny Pickett.
Sam Howell.
Right.
I know Kenny Pickett was a first round pick, so they're kind of invested in him for at least the next 2+ years with the 5th year option. I think Sam Howell
It's
has
not
a
that good.
much higher ceiling.
Kenny
Like,
Pickett is trash.
no, Kenny Pickett's not good. And he cost me some couple $100 on a parlay I did. Fuck it. Fuck you, Kenny
Okay.
Pickett. Give me Sam Howell.
Your boy Jordan Love.
That's an interesting one, and maybe I'm a little too close to the situation, but
Yes,
Sam Howell has a higher upside right now than Jordan Love.
yeah.
It's that simple.
Give me Sam Howell there too. Now this one, I don't know if I could get behind this one, but on Keep Trade Cut, it's gotten this bad where Deshaun Watson is QB 19.
Ooh. He's not playing well, dude. He had a solid game, but he's not playing well, relatively
I
speaking.
mean,
He's getting
he's
hurt
not.
now all of a sudden.
Yeah, obviously he was injured, but I mean, he does have at least the security of the contract and the potential to obviously play better. I mean, the games he's played fully, I don't think he's been that bad.
Yeah, but yeah, the eye test.
I mean, he was what 19 of 30 for 219 and two tutties last game,
Yeah, but does it
3 for 22 on the ground. I still feel way more comfortable with Watson than I do with Howell, so I can't put Howell over Watson.
I tend to agree, but the fact that it's a conversation tells you everything you need to know.
Well, I don't think it's a conversation, but it's a conversation to the community and some people, I guess,
Well,
if
there you
that's
go.
what, if that's what we've got here on Keep Trade Cut. But
We're bringing it up
all
here. It's a
right, how
conversation.
about Jared Goff?
No, Jared Goff.
See,
There's
that's Jared Goff's
that's
only
not
2
particularly close
slots. He's only 2 slots ahead of Sam Howell on
because
Keep
I
Trade
don't
Cut.
because of the contract situation. I guarantee if Jared
Mhm.
Goff gets a 4 or 5 year deal in the offseason, that's going to be a completely irrelevant conversation. It's Jared Goff, and it's not particularly close.
Dak Prescott.
Dak's interesting. I'm still taking Dak over Sam Howell. I don't. That's not very much
Very
of a
close.
conversation to me either.
Brock? How about Brock?
Brock's more steady. I think I would take Brock Purdy slightly, just because he has better weapons, he has a better coaching staff, he has a better, defense that he's playing with. It's Brock Purdy, but that can be a
Yeah,
conversation to be had.
other than Deshaun Watson, basically, he is kinda in that QB 18-ish range of,
Mhm.
what they've got on QB Keep Trade Cut of what they have him as. We might not agree on all the guys that are around there, but that's kinda where he is for us when we just kind of went through that exercise of kinda who would you rather have, basically. Sam Howell worth a late first right now. That's what it's gonna take to probably get him. I don't know if he's worth that, but that's probably what it'll take to get him, no?
Yeah, in a super flex league, I would be hesitant to do that just because it can all blow up in your face pretty quickly. So I'd rather give up a first and get Jared Goff. I'd rather give up a back end 1+ and get a Jared Goff or somebody with a little more security. So no, I wouldn't do that. I'd rather kind of pay a little bit
Right.
extra and get a guy
Mhm.
that's a little more secure.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'd rather pay a little bit extra, get something secure. Now, is there any situation where, well, I guess it just depends on the price really of where, whether you would buy Sam Howell or not. But if you had Sam Howell, what would you be selling him for? Would it be that late for would it be kind of an automatic smash if you had just a random first in your inbox?
I'd start there and see what people are willing to kind of how far I could push the envelope. Because listen, the way I would negotiate that, especially with a guy like him that is playing very well, you want to start, you want to max him out, right? And there are people out
Mhm.
there in super flex leagues where it's really hard to get quarterbacks that we know are going to start on a week in, week out basis and be fairly productive. So I think I would start at that back end one and then kind of work my way from there, especially if somebody's desperate enough.
Right now, you
So
might be able to get more because people might be desperate with QB situations, you know?
mhm.